Business Book Club. So today I'll be talking about time management for entrepreneurs. So this is a self-published book by Abigail, who Caroline and I will be chatting to very soon. So the great thing about this book is it is completely specific to entrepreneurs. So if you're looking for a time management book, this one really talks about running your own business and the value of time to your own business. She talks a lot about how time is money, and that you need to be working out how you're spending your time if you're trying to sort of maximize your profits. I would say that this book is for you if you are struggling at the moment. If you find that you're procrastinating or you're spending too much time on certain tasks, I think that this is definitely something to read. I think if you feel like you're quite happy with your time management, then this may panic you. I found myself, as I was reading it, I like to think I don't have too many issues with time management. I did start reading it and thinking, oh, this is making me feel a bit guilty for using social media, and then reminding myself, no, you need social media for your business. So I think it is worth bearing in mind. She has certain types of, I suppose, like problematic kind of time issues. So she's got the social media junkie. So if you find you're using social media too much, the chatterbox, are you using your phone too much? The Care Bear, I think that's where you're caring about too many other problems, and you try and help too many people. Jack of all trades, that you're spreading yourself too thinly.
Guilty.
And the procrastinator. There was an interesting one because, obviously, Jack of all trades, when you're running your own company, you have to be to some degree. Yeah. So I would definitely say pick this up if you are genuinely worrying about time management. If you've identified that's an issue, then this could be really helpful. It's very quick. One of the things I mentioned to Caroline, actually, when we talked about this before is, so we haven't met Abigail yet, but we were meeting her for the interview. And it's really interesting dealing with her over email because time is such an important aspect to her. When we spoke to her, she immediately from day one, she identified which time she was free to talk to us. And it was literally a case of, I can do 2:00 on Thursday, which very rarely you'll have that kind of exchange with someone. And when she sent the book through to me, she pointed out how long it would take me. So it's interesting, time is a massive thing for her. She's thought a lot about it. The book also covers, quite interestingly, it covers different aspects that I wouldn't have expected in a time management book. She does look at things like diet and exercise and kind of just your general well-being as well. So there's kind of more of like a coaching aspect to this book. Something I loved about this book is that she uses lots of case studies, like a lot of the business books that we've been reviewing in the book club. But I definitely found myself sort of aligning with some of these case studies. People were mentioning what time of day they work, and we have this conversation all the time. Caroline is a real early bird. I'm the complete other end of the spectrum. I will happily wake up about 10, 11, and then I'll work till about 2 or 3 in the morning, and I know I'm most productive probably from midnight onwards. But it's something I rarely admit because I think it makes me seem lazy, and I think people assume you're really lazy even though you're having the same amount of sleep and you're just pushing it at a different time of the day. And it was really interesting reading, showcased entrepreneurs with big companies saying, I work best at night, I don't set an alarm clock. So that was the one bit I took away from it, where I was like, okay, I don't need to panic, I don't need to be suddenly changing who I am and getting up at 6 in the morning.
It sounds like it'd be a great book when you're starting your business. Because I know when I launched Mutual Attraction, for example, and the same really with A League of Her Own, you can kind of fall in a trap of where you have so much to do, but you kind of sometimes go to those activities which are the most fun or which are the most easy, and you can kind of spend your time very easily doing things which aren't necessarily as important. I can't remember what you call it. You call it the frog or something, where you have to tackle...
Eat the frog, yeah.
And I think, well, I'll let you explain that in case they think we're just talking about eating frogs.
So the concept of eating the frog, I don't know where I've read it from. I think it is from one of the business books. It's the idea of, if you have a to-do list, that there's always a frog on that to-do list. There's always a thing you want to do least, and quite often you will end up leaving it, and it goes from today's to-do list to tomorrow's to next week. And actually, it's one of those things where actually you end up building it up so much that when you actually get it done, it's nowhere near as bad as you thought it was going to be. But the idea of eating the frog is this concept that as soon as you get up, that's the first thing you do on your to-do list. So if you start the day with the hardest thing on your to-do list, or the thing you want to do the least, it makes everything else seem so easy.
Yeah, because I think as entrepreneurs, especially if we're multi-passionate, we're juggling a lot of things, it's really difficult to you kind of have to have that conversation with yourself of, okay, what actually do I need to be doing today? Maybe I don't need to be updating my social media. Maybe that would be great if I could do it, but actually I've got these other things that really need to be doing. And I think we can easily fall into that pattern, especially when you're your own boss, and especially if you're not used to being your own boss and being told what you have to do. You can definitely slip into the things which are fun or easy, but aren't necessarily going to have the biggest impact on your business.
And I mean, as she says multiple times, time is money. So you do need to think, do you know what, is what I'm doing going to actually, is it profitable to me? And also when you're choosing between things, and this is on a daily basis. I know, like yesterday we had loads of stuff to do, and I actually had to sit down and I had to think, do you know what, which of these 2 tasks that I know I need to do, which of these is more important to me, which of these that I'm actually going to see a direct profit from, can I put the other thing off another day? And I think something that was in here that I actually have to say I disagree with, it's not a major point, but I think it's worth bearing in mind if you do end up reading this. She mentions a lot about kind of like there's a big focus on once you've worked out where you're wasting time and how to stop wasting that time. She then also focuses on other better ways you could use your time. And one of the things she suggests is going to events. And I think just bear in mind, because we have fallen foul of this, you can waste a lot of the time going to events that aren't actually of that much use to your business. I think you have to be quite picky on which events you're going to, because when you're starting out, you can spend a lot of money as well as a lot of time on the wrong events. And I've travelled to the other side of the world for conferences where I've literally taken nothing away, and the amount of time and effort I've spent on those trips. So I would just say that as a caveat. Something that is really good in here, and I mean the whole reason we do Business Book Club is to try and save you guys time. So if you don't have time to read this, ironic, I didn't realise. One thing that was quite good, if you are struggling with your time management, definitely it's an exercise I've seen in other books too. Sit down and as much as you can, just be really honest with yourself about working out how you spend your day. So I know that some of the books that we read at the start of the year, a lot of the planners that talk about planning your year out will look at this too, where you actually sit down maybe for a week and as much as you can note, okay, today I got up at 8 o'clock, I started work at 9 o'clock. The first thing I did was check my social media, and I did that for an hour and a half or whatever. Be really honest. And it's one of those things where, yeah, it can be quite awkward actually having that kind of accountability to yourself. But the more honest you are, the more you can recognise, okay, is there something I can trim down on? Can I set a certain time of day? Some of the entrepreneurs in here actually talk about switching stuff off. So once you've checked your email in the morning, actually closing your email down so that you don't get those pop-ups in the corner, or closing your social media account so you're not getting the constant notifications that are calling you to act upon them. So I think that's worth doing if you are in those early stages and you just feel like, oh my God, I do not know where to start. Well, look at what you're doing and look if there's other ways you can find time to do stuff.